Hi, my name is Ashley Bugby, and this is my Module 3, Advocating for Technological Equity. I wanted to start off by defining two things that these definitions really helped me look at this project as a whole, a little more holistically than I think I started off with. So it's really easy, I think, in education or technology, the whole world in general of thinking technology is a device. You have the device, you have the internet, you've got technology, you understand it, we're good to go. And I think that that is really important to kind of think of it in a different way. So I like this educational technology of any tool, equipment, or device, electronic or mechanical, that helps students meet their learning goals. That is something when you're thinking about developing plans to strategically help students personalize their learning, that this education tool is not just a device and apps. It goes way beyond that. And that's important, really important to remember. And I like this definition of technology equity because it's thinking about the community as a whole and looking into our resources. It goes way beyond the students. It goes to our teachers, it goes to the parents, and in that right, onto the community members as well. If we don't think about making sure that they have what they need to participate and have capacity to use technology so that they can live in society fully and economically, then we're missing the boat on some things. A big part of what I pulled out of our resources was that we have to plan and develop. And our plans need to think again about the student holistically. We need to think about them having a seamless experience when they're doing this, and it can be something as simple as single sign-ins. And I didn't think about the importance of that until I think about myself and how many passwords and usernames that you have to remember for all of these hundreds of things you end up doing throughout your life. But how frustrating can that be for students and parents when they're attempting to get on and learn and participate in their education environment if they have to remember that I have a password and a username for iReady and for my STAR test and for my Edgenuity classes and for my Google Classroom and my email. That is overwhelming, and I can see students and families just shutting down. But like for our school, we use Clever, and so Clever ties that all together. As long as they can log into Clever, everything pops up and they can have access. So that was a really unique way for like just thinking about having a single sign-in can meet a lot of needs and iron out some frustrations. So plan should accommodate for students with IEPs, 504s, English as a second language, and lots of other disabilities, whether it's learning disabilities or physical disabilities. There are so many things out there that can help students, and it's important that we reach out to experts in that area to see what can help our students, that obviously meets their needs and it has them reaching their goals. And you'll see this on several of the slides. I think it's vital that we evaluate practices as we go to make sure that we don't have any harmful interactions, and that we also realize what's positive. What are positive flags that we have that we need to keep doing? So evaluating as you go is absolutely important. The next big chunk that I took out of our resources is that we have to have a technical infrastructure. You have to have the devices, you have to provide broadband inside and outside of school. You have to, and that can go as far as it's really hard for us to think about being able to financially put internet in everybody's home. But can we work with the local internet provider to make a low cost option for our families? Can we send MiFi's home with kids? There are other options so that students have the ability to do those things outside of school. Do we make sure there's multiple places in your community that has Wi-Fi you can go and connect to at any time? So those are things that we can do to think about an infrastructure. It's also important to think about ongoing technical support. If we're going to give out these devices, if we're going to make sure that technology is incorporated in any way possible, we have to have the supports to be able to continue with those. Because like we've done a lot, there was a story in one of the resources of, we got this brand new curriculum, we opened it, it was great, we did all this training, and then we realized 3 months in that we didn't even unpack all the boxes. So we have to make sure that we have somebody that understands and can support people as we work through with our technology. A side of that is obviously professional development with our teachers. They need to be able to become experts in technology. They need to have a voice and choice in what that technology is. So they need to be able to decide what they want to use in their classrooms. And obviously, there's some things that you're going to initiate district or building wide that they need to be a part of and have discussions and professional development about. But they should also have some choice about what kind of professional development they want to continue with on a technology level. And if we can make it continuous and have in-class coaching, that's even more powerful. Schools also need to think of development, not only professionally, but also working with families. Because as we saw in COVID-19, we have devices we can send them home, but if they don't have adults in their worlds that understand how to use the device or some of the apps that they have, it's not even worth having the device technically. So we need to make sure that we're including families and other community members and adults in these students' lives and how to work with technology that our students are working with. The next thing that you have to do anytime you're thinking about education, you have to have policies in place when you're dealing with it. That is making sure that our students are good digital citizens. So we need to explicitly teach them the things that are expected of them, safety, all of those things, acceptable use of our devices, of our internet. Those things have to be taught not only to the students, but to the parents. The parents need to explicitly teach it as well. And again, we need to evaluate our practices and interventions to improve our effectiveness and also have policies that meet that as well. So like a couple slides ago when I said we need to discuss these things, are they working, are they not? Do we need a new policy in place? Just like technology changes, we're going to have to change our policies to meet that as well. So we make sure we're sending good digital citizens out there. Hand in hand with that, we have to have digital literacy programs. I spoke a little bit to making sure we train adults on how to use some of this technology, and it's really important that we address there's technology poverty out there, and that means we're lacking 21st century skills to thrive. And I really like that, skills to thrive, because we have families that are in a poverty loop, but if we give them these 21st century skills and ways to rise above that, that's providing them one more tool that they can have to hopefully find some success in their life. Working with private sectors, I know it says Land O'Lakes is working to help put high-speed internet into rural communities. And to meet individual needs, we can input digital literacy training to create self-sufficiency. Our students, our teachers, and our community members, parents, and guardians need to be able to be self-sufficient, and our technology can help that. Providing for technology programs, and I'm really kind of thinking about this in a monetary way and budgets. Private sectors can make a difference, like Land O'Lakes and HP that are working a lot with schools. Any industry that's in your area that might be recruiting these students or families to work in them would absolutely probably be interested in working with you. There's national grants right now. They're working on state formula funding grants to make sure that we have funding for our technology built in. There's also competitive grants out there, like it said in several of our resources, that schools can go to increase their technology. I thought it was interesting, they talked about pairing technology developers with educators to further develop technology tech, and that is amazing, because I don't know how many times we discuss in education, well, people are doing things for education that have never actually been in a classroom. So if you're able to pair a developer with an actual teacher or somebody that works in education, I think there's some really amazing things that could happen from that. And we have to prioritize when we're talking to our boards. You have to prioritize allocations to meet all learner needs, and it's vital that that's technology. When I look at curriculum analysis and kind of thinking, COVID related as well, the district I work in currently, we're 1-to-1. We're an Apple district, kind of. Our on-campus kids all have iPads, and we actually have a virtual school with 55 students, and those students have Chromebooks. Our teachers have MacBooks. I I think we do a great job in providing those things. We have, back during COVID, the district provided MiFis to families that did not have it. Have attempted to work with it's not as easy to work sometimes with local internet providers to make low cost options, but those MiFis really helped at that time. Now, do I think, personally, I think we need to reevaluate the iPads and if they are truly going to meet the needs of our students after they graduate. I think they work really well in our elementary schools, but even we've seen some of our students that do like dual credit courses end up asking for a Chromebook because their iPad doesn't have the functionality that they need. And I've thought for a long time we need to readdress that. And it's a big budget difference when you're talking about providing a computer and providing that tablet, but I think it's something that we need to discuss. I feel like at our district, are very powerful in using our data and doing data informed decision making. We use, our absentee data, or a lot of that stuff that comes in our SIS system or Power School. We utilize that a lot when we're talking about, especially chronic absenteeism. When we're talking about our IPS process, enrollment, seeing what kind of courses our students enjoy taking. And then we also have things like we do STAR testing as our progress monitoring. We use iReady. Those systems have really helped us use this data, and I think we've really empowered ourselves to do that. I think that we need to do it more when we're making technology decisions. And I also think that we could utilize it more for social emotional learning and collecting social emotional data. I know we kind of took a step away from that because some litigation that was out there of how you can collect some of that data and keep it, also the privacy that comes along with some of that, but we definitely need to get back into it. I think that's something that we need to work on. Differentiating, I think our district is good at providing technology, but I do not think we're good at differentiating it with it. I don't think we utilize the tools that we have to individualize stuff for our students. Now, we provide them with online classes and things along those lines, but when you're talking about especially the accommodations for IEP and 504 students, I think we're missing the boat on it. Supports, this is something we have a full-time tech person. We have a couple of people that work for him in the summer, but outside of that, I don't know that we have a lot of focus in that area. I think that we could absolutely provide more supports for families on training, and that is something that we have to look at if we're going to continue to do some of the individualized learning that we're discussing. When we're talking about our multi-tiered systems of support, we have to start building in some of the technology supports to make sure that we build that basis that everything else can fall into line. When I'm thinking about developing a curriculum, I stole this from our KISA goal and plan. We're a part of the pilot group, so I took this from them because I think that it's a great plan. First of all, you need to have a collaborative group. Your collaborative group needs to have people, stakeholders from everywhere: teachers, admin, students if you can, parents, school board members, maybe some community members, and work with them to construct a goal. Look for resources, use that goal and those resources with the data that you have. You pick out strategies, implement them, and then come back and evaluate them. I think this is a really great cycle of evaluation that can be done with technology too. I really think my district, when I originally taught there, we had a great technology team and technology committee, but we've kind of gone away from that. And I think that we need to get back to it to make sure we are intentionally focusing our technology usage and not just having it, because I think we've kind of fallen into that step. This is relevant because I feel like some of the key takeaways that are very relevant to us now, especially considering COVID-19, even though we're, knock on wood, on the other side of it, Obviously we don't have mass outages or closings of schools necessarily because of that, but we are still seeing kids and then families being gone for extended periods of time because of that sickness, and then others too, of the flu. This has given us, my key takeaway is a really powerful kind of shove into seeing that technology can be used to differentiate for students. And how can we bring some of that back, some of the benefits that came from having to be individual learners? How the benefits of that, how do we plug those back in? Of course, there's some things, obviously, nothing's going to be as powerful as being able to be with a teacher and work directly with a teacher, but there are some little things, like a story in one of the resources was that this teacher had a class of 35 plus, and there was no possible way for her in the day to individually discuss something with every student, but using WhatsApp, they were able to, send her a voice message or a question or ask her something, and she would send one back to them personally. So that they felt more connected in that way, because there's no way that they got that individual attention when they were in a classroom of 30 plus. So there are things that we can do to individualize for students and make students, more powerful, and especially when we're talking about needing to do the MTSS structures and make sure that we're moving students up academically and non-academically, that is a really powerful thing when we're thinking about how technology is relevant and how this module is also relevant to our learning. This module, when I think about decisions for the school districts that I work in, technology needs to be a part of it. Technology, you need to build an infrastructure and provide supports. Those are the biggest things. You've got to have it. You've got to budget for it. Continuously evaluate. So have a team that looks at it and evaluates, and then provide supports that are not just for teachers and students, that branch out beside that. And so, thinking in the long term is really important as well. My future educational skills when thinking in time of crisis, really learning how to reach out to people that want to help. Thinking about like HP and Land O'Lakes, when they're, willing to work with you on providing internet for students, that's absolutely amazing. So in times of crisis, there are ways, number one, we should plan for things like that. And number two, have policies, procedures, and reach out to community members and industry within your area that might be able to help you as well. And these are also the resources that I use throughout the project. So this was really interesting, and I look forward to learning more.